David Clendon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sir, I was almost loath to interrupt Mr. Bishop. I was enjoying his speech. It's a good example of how a good debater can disguise obvious flaws in the logic of the proposition that's on the floor. I commend Mr. Bishop for displaying that ability. I wish I had it. Unfortunately, I don't have that ability to bluster, therefore must rely on logic and sequence and hopefully a little bit of thought. So thank you for the entertainment, sir. I do appreciate it. So this bill in part 1, which we're debating in this session of it, goes to part 1, and where we are discussing the purpose, which of course of this Act is to make provision for 2 postal referendum to enable electors to decide whether New Zealand should have a new flag. And on the face of it, that sounds a reasonable democratic process. But the way in which this is structured presupposes that New Zealanders do want to change the flag. And we heard it from Mr. Bishop. He said it himself that in his view, to which he's entitled, there is some sort of public preference, some public enthusiasm for a change of flag. He may be right, but equally you can run arguments to the contrary. I would ask, where is the groundswell of public opinion that was evident before this misguided bill was tabled, before the Prime Minister started to talk up the issue in his inimitable fashion? Where was the groundswell of public support for a change that necessitated the expenditure of some $27 million? So the people may wonder, how on earth can you spend that much money? Do referenda really cost that much? And the answer lies to some extent in the detail, and indeed in the regulatory impact statement that identifies the fact that we don't really have a process for running referenda of this nature. We have citizens-initiated referendum, which have a process, and they're fairly well known and prescribed. We understand how to do that, but they're having to make rules up as they go along. And we know this because the regulatory impact statement tells us so, that what has to be determined initially is specifically in terms of the regulation of referendum advertising, for example, to enable us to even run these referendum. What will be regulated? How will it be regulated? When will it be regulated? We're having to make up a whole set of rules and processes for one unique, discrete decision to be made by New Zealanders. I would say, and I return to the point I was making, that the way in which these referendum are structured, there's a presupposition that New Zealanders want to change. That's unproven and unprovable, I think. And to suggest that New Zealanders can only decide if they want to change their flag when they see an alternative, or indeed a range of alternatives, I think that undersells the importance of the symbol of the flag. And again, looking to the regulatory impact statement, where we are told that the flag is a common and enduring symbol of unity. The referendum on the future of the flag need to have an enduring result. This means the process needs to have a high degree of legitimacy, integrity and public confidence. And I would argue that the process to date has lacked all of that. We have seen appallingly low turnouts. There is not the groundswell of public interest. There's a great deal of public entertainment being derived. Everybody and his friend are coming out with a bright idea. My personal favourite is the little Kiwi with a green laser shooting out of their eyes. People are treating this in a very jovial fashion. Well, it is his eyes, actually. We won't go there. People are treating us in large part as something of a joke, as an entertainment, and that devalues the whole proposition of our national flag. If there is a groundswell of support for a change, it would emerge of its own volition over time. This has been a very forced process. The Prime Minister has led it, using his considerable charm and wit to persuade people they should participate, but the idea of running 2 referendum really fails, and the way it's structured, there is a presupposition that we want it that's unproven. It's interesting that the referendum, logically enough, will be a preferential vote, and that's described in this part of the bill, the preferential voting process, simply ranking the 4 choices, or however many it is, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, and that is a legitimate way to do it. The second vote, if we get to that point, will be a simple majority vote. 50% plus 1 of however many people even bother to participate will change our flag.